Hello everybody, welcome to the Online Tennis Podcast, episode number 3636. It's myself, Jack, and I co-host
Gavin, as usual, yeah. Another great week of tennis on show.
Yeah, Miami Masters. Plenty to cover. We're going to cover a bit about the tournament, the venue change, a little bit about that pain in the arse, Andy Murray, obviously. Upsets, there's plenty of them, so we'll talk a bit about that. That'll probably be the focus of today. A bit of the drama that's going on. I mean, as you say, a bit of aggro. The tennis
Plenty
podcast like to say. Yeah, plenty of it, so we'll cover a bit of that. Bit about Ash Barty as well, and our retirement. A wee quiz from Gav, literally just 5 questions, so it'll be quite quick. And a little introduction to Linda Fruhvirtova on the women's side. We're going to fly through it. Keep up. Here we go. Right. I think, Gav, we can start with the venue change. Yeah, for those that don't know, the tournament used to take place in Crandon Park in Key Biscayne. Quite a small venue relatively for a Masters tournament. They always wanted to upsize. When they did think about upsizing, there was a bit of pushback from the locals in Crandon Park, and they had to change venues inevitably to house the amount of spectators that they were getting demand for, basically. So Stephen Ross, owner of the Miami Dolphins, suggested their home ground, the Hard Rock Stadium, as the new venue. James Blake, the tournament director, accepted the suggestion, built 30-court strong ground around the venue. Obviously, a lot of money poured into making the new venue work. Bit supersized, in my opinion, sort of like a very American feeling. But at the same time, maybe we shouldn't be so skeptical of the venue. It does look like it's all sort of well intended, to make the tournament, more people can attend it, basically, and it actually does house the demand for it. I don't know. How do you feel, Gav? I'm kind of in two minds myself, to be honest.
I don't like it at all.
Yeah. Okay.
I've probably just been a traditionalist, but I think Crandon Park was unique in the fact that it had sort of like, it was a Masters, a big event, but it had sort of a more fan-friendly feel. You see, like Indian Wells now, for example, feels very corporate, almost feels very much sort of, not elitist, I would say, but it does feel that sort of corporate, the casual tennis fan sort of thing. Especially if you look at the ticket prices for it, that probably is a fair reflection. But no, Crandon Park, the venue as well, the colour of the court was unique. It felt like a very much unique event. I love the centre court there. I think the centre court in Miami, the old Miami, was one of the best centre courts they had in the game. You can actually still play there if you fancy flying to Miami to play. You can play on the main centre court there for $30, I think, for an hour, which is
what?
It's a lot of money. But
how is that a lot of money? That is mega cheap.
$30. I mean, that's like 28 quid. I mean, that's
all relative to playing tennis. It's quite expensive, but playing on centre court,
lane and relive when Andy won it, I guess. So
that's amazing.
Yeah. So I mean, I'd pay it, but it is sort of more expensive than your average tennis court. But it's
that $30 each?
I don't know. I think it's just $30 for the court hire.
That's good.
Yeah. So the old Miami had something special about it. For me, they've just ruined it now. If you look at the main stadium court, it's inside the Hard Rock Stadium, but it's part of the stadium. It's not even the full stadium. What they've done is they've taken a corner of the stadium.
Yeah.
And they've basically just almost like, it's weird because the seats, it just doesn't look right. It doesn't look natural. It doesn't feel like
it doesn't look like a tennis stadium.
It doesn't feel like a main stadium. It feels almost like a temporary thing. It just doesn't feel properly, proper. I guess I know why they've moved. It's because of the money, because of the demand. But for me, no, they've ruined it for me a wee bit.
I'm in two minds, I think, Gav. Like, Kyrgios himself was talking about it during his match with Adrian Manarino, said what was wrong with Key Biscayne, why did we move it? Worst idea ever, classic Kyrgios sort of pushback. And I think a lot of people have that gut feeling. And I kind of had that gut feeling. I was like, oh, it's as you say, it's been corporatized, basically.
Yeah,
it all feels
one thing that's good about it, I like the court colour. The colour of the blue colours of the court, that's quite good. I don't like the facilities. It looks like a car park. In fact, I think some of the courts
it does a bit
in the car park. I mean, it feels like sort of, it doesn't feel like a prestigious tournament to me. That's maybe been
at the same time. Obviously, we've not been there. From what I've seen of the grounds, there's a lot going on. To be fair, and somebody like James Blake, I kind of trust the guy's judgment. In some ways, it does seem like he's went the extra mile to set up a lot of different things in the ground. It doesn't look as bland outside of the main court as you'd expect. The centre court, I really have an issue with. I think it looks awful. It doesn't feel like it's a tennis. It's too big as well for a tennis stadium. Like
it feels very makeshift. It doesn't feel like its own thing.
Yeah, Exactly, yeah. But overall, actually, I'm not as bothered about the change as maybe I was
But
at
it's no
first.
Key Biscayne. It's no Crandon
No,
Park.
maybe not. And also, Andy doesn't live right next to it, so no home advantage. So, um, yeah, yeah. So yeah, a bit pushback from most fans and ourselves as well. But hopefully, they settle into the role for years to come. Maybe they're not quite there yet. We'll give them the benefit of the doubt. Diving into some of the tennis, I'd like to talk about Andy first, if that's okay. Very quickly talk about
You
his
want to know, okay?
first match and his classic, first round win, second round loss record. He was pretty good against Delbonis, I thought, and again, I'm drawing plenty of positive encouragement from that because it was decent.
Delbonis played a high level as well. Like, I actually feared for
Yeah,
Delbonis before the match because his record on outside of clay was pretty ugly for the past
mm-hmm.
couple of seasons. And of course, whenever Delbonis plays, all the commentators want to talk about his ball toss, but actually, he played pretty well, Delbonis.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Murray was forced to produce a high level, and he did. And after that first set, a long first set, he was class in the second set. I thought
It was
he was
like Andy
really
of old, like a tight first set and then like one-sided second set. That
he
doesn't
ran away with it.
happen
Yeah, he had
ever.
that
Yeah.
momentum, and he didn't let Delbonis back in. So
Yeah, not at all. It
yes,
was tidy.
it was.
Going into the tie break, I was so worried.
Mhm.
Andy 6-14 in tie break since the beginning of 2021, and really hadn't done well in that scenario. And he was comfortable. I mean, I think there was one point Delbonis kind of gave him, but apart from that, a lot of tidy serve, tidy forehand, and then finish it at the net. The disguise on the backhand, outfoxing Delbonis a bunch of times, especially in that tiebreak. It was really comfortable. 77% of first serves in as well. That's unheard of for Andy.
Unheard of in the modern Andy era.
Yeah.
We're going to call it that, but yeah, last couple of years anyway.
That's his highest first serve percentage since 2015 Queens is what I've got down here.
Wow.
Yeah, so 7 years. I know. Yeah, crazy. Obviously, Delbonis maybe not the best returner in the world, and obviously when he went into his next match against Medvedev, that first serve percentage dipped. It's not like Andy just serves badly against good returners. Coincidentally, it's people sort of see his first serve as like, oh, if only Andy had got his first serves, and it's not. That's not how it works. It's like he feels the pressure to get the first serves in the right spots.
When he's playing Medvedev, the ball's going to come back more often than not, so he's got to try
Yeah.
and he's under more pressure in that serve.
Yeah, and he had a healthy percentage of first serves won against Medvedev, so he was taking quite a lot of risk on. But it kind of just went as you expected. To be honest, he was never beating Medvedev. Just too many second serve points. Going to go Medvedev's way, and not vice versa. It's not like Andy can cover his, or it's Medvedev can cover his own second serve really well. Sorry, the other way around. It was just one measly break of serve in the first set that made the difference, and then the second he kind of just went away a bit. Positives to draw on that Delbonis match. People like Medvedev in the second round. That's not going to do Andy any favours at any point. I don't see that
Well, it's
win
not a
happening.
kind draw, is it? I mean, that's the problem. I mean, you're not going to get kind draws, but like you'd hope to build a bit of momentum. So
But Medvedev's taking the piss, yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's like the worst draw you could get in a slower court as well. Slow hard.
Yeah,
You don't
exactly.
want Medvedev.
Yeah. First time Ivan had been in the box, Ivan even had been in the box since they've paired up.
Excitement, I think. Yeah.
I know, yeah. Unfortunately, there's unlikely to be any matches until Queens, or unless he does like a
If he
smaller
plays the
tournament.
Nottingham Challenger, maybe he'd play the Nottingham Challenger.
Still a while away though, isn't it?
It's June. June the 3rd. I think that starts off the top of my head. So yeah, it'll be a while.
Yeah.
But
So yeah, 2 or 3 months.
I think it's actually, I know I was saying for the past year that he needs to play more challengers he needs to play more tennis, but I think now that he's played a lot of tournament tennis in succession, I think it's quite good if he can just get on the grass court to maybe prepare at Wimbledon, practice at Wimbledon a lot on the courts there. But I think it's going to be quite positive for him. I think he'll have a really good grass court season. I think.
Yeah. After something like that, I'm definitely
It just
encouraged.
depends on the draw. It always depends on the draw, doesn't it? Especially at Wimbledon, best of 5. He needs a really.
But you could get and you're right. You could get given quite a comfortable seed relatively on grass. Definitely, it depends who he gets given.
Especially when you consider like some Medvedev, your Medvedevs and your Sinners are not accomplished grass court players yet. It's probably the best surface for him. It's best surface to make an impact.
Medvedev's getting there, definitely.
He's getting
he was okay last year, and I think somebody like Hurkacz, obviously Berrettini, those sort of players you'd like to avoid. But he could take Zverev, Tsitsipas any day in a grass court. Let's talk about a few of the upsets that have happened so far, because there have been plenty of them. The first one I'd like to talk about is Kyrgios and Rublev. Kyrgios beating Rublev, in the second round.
Yeah, Rublev.
Yeah, Rublev. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Actually, watching the match,
Rublev
it was
no answer. But
it was nothing to do with Rublev, really. It was just, Kyrgios. The one weakness of Rublev, Kyrgios totally exploited that second serve. He was taking it within like a metre of the baseline, giving him absolutely no time. There are a few players that can do that, obviously. It takes a very high level of execution and hand-eye coordination to cover that, to pull that sort of thing off, obviously. But at the same time, he kind of took it to the nth degree, and I mean, free and love, that was all Kyrgios. It was
yeah, I
very,
mean, I
very little
think
to do with Rublev.
on that second serve of Rublev's, I mean, I think we saw it against Fritz as well in Indian Wells, especially in that first set when Rublev was like just not placing his first serve in, but not like getting the location in his second serve. That was being punished a lot. So I think that's an area he needs to work on because it's not just the pace of the second serve, it's also the location as well. I don't think it's not really against the top guys. It's not going to really provide enough of a test for them.
Mm-hmm.
I would say, but
yeah, I agree, definitely. I think moving forward, obviously we talked about it a bit in the last pod. Kyrgios's return games 1% is sort of middle of the board. Basically, used to be right down there at the bottom three. It's much higher than it's been in previous years. He could beat anybody feeling like this, and if he's sort of healthy and he stays recovered after his matches, then this Kyrgios Sinner match that we're going to see this evening could go either way for me. Yeah, it'll be excellent. Another one I'd like to talk about: Francisco Cerundolo beating Reilly, Opelka and Gael Monfils.
Opelka looked injured though. He was
He
tired.
was, he was.
He was my pick for the title as well.
Really? Oh wow!
He was. Yeah, I'm a big Opelka fan. I thought he was going to play, especially how well he's been playing the past. Really this season, really winning that title in Dallas and played really well against Rafa and Indian Wells, but typical injured. Unfortunately, one tournament I predicted him to win and he's injured, but.
Yeah, I mean, quite lucky for Cerundolo that he. And I'm not scared of using the word lucky in this case because Opelka, you don't go 6-1, 3-1 up against Opelka if he's even close to being fit, basically. Yeah. So right shoulder injury stopping him from serving properly. I mean, Cerundolo will get every ball back. We've got to give him credit for that. But at the same time, Opelka definitely wasn't up for that match. Against Monfils as well, that was a bit better, definitely. Monfils still playing half decent tennis. Definitely nowhere near the level that he played against Medvedev, to be fair. Mm-hmm. I mean, we look at Monfils's, what was it, forehand winners to unforced errors, 2 forehand winners to 11 unforced errors, a far cry from his level against Medvedev.
Yeah, I think that's sort of what it's going to be like with Monfils from now on in. I think there will be matches where he plays really, really well, but the reason I don't think he's going to win like a Slam or a Masters, I'm not convinced he can keep that up against the top guys, and maybe when there's more pressure and you've got better players playing against him as we go deeper into tournaments, it'll be more difficult for him, but yeah, I think it's just going to be take the rough with the smooth with Monfils.
Yeah, definitely. At the same time, let's give credit to Cerundolo. The two Cerundolo brothers they'd won one ATP match between them in their careers, and then all of a sudden the two of them put together multiple wins at the same event. They're very oddly synchronized, I've got to say. Juan Manuel Cerundolo had beat Dusan Lajovic and Kevin Anderson before losing to Tiafoe, and Fran Cerundolo, will play Tiafoe tonight.
Yeah, so that'll be a good match.
Yeah, should be. Cerundolo, both of them, the two Cerundolos, I didn't think they had any chance in hard courts. But honestly, we talk about the conditions. I assumed Miami would be a little faster, but it looks like it's playing slower this year.
A bit slower, yeah. That's what Medvedev was saying actually yesterday after his win against Martinez. He said he found it difficult to break Martinez down just because he felt that Martinez would play better on the slower hard court. So quite interesting hearing that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it definitely falls into the hands of players like Cerundolo, who are Cerundolo, the two of them, sorry,
Cerundolo,
both Cerundolai, I guess, Cerundolai. That's the pluralized version. The Cerundolai play on clay better, obviously, generally. So you're getting a lot of players who don't necessarily have the biggest serves getting through to the latter stages of these rounds at the moment. But there are a couple of the upsets. I mean, there's other stuff, but I'd like to move on to a bit of the drama that went on as well, because there's plenty to cover here. First thing I'd like to talk about is Jenson Brooksby's racket throw.
What's your thoughts on it? Do you think it should have been DQ'd?
that's harsh, but at the same time, this is everybody's calling for something to happen now because things are just getting let off the hook left, right, and centre, basically. And
For me, I don't think he intentionally meant to harm someone. There's a lot of people saying, "Oh, look what happened with Djokovic," and I think it's similar. I thought my answer to it would be that I think maybe there should be a punishment, but I don't think they should be DQ'd. So in other words, I don't think Djokovic should have been DQ'd, but I don't think Brooksby should have been DQ'd. I think a fine or maybe a warning or maybe something to do with like I don't know about a suspension even, but so maybe there should be like a 3-strike policy where like if you do it once you get it noted on your record, then if you do it once more you maybe get a week suspension.
yeah.
If you do it once more you get maybe a month suspension. If you do it again, I don't know.
I like that.
6 months, something like that. Maybe we just need a bit of common sense because people call for wildly misproportionate punishment, like he should be banned for 6 months. I mean that's nonsense. Come off, you know. But I think there does need to be something because you can't just allow it to keep happening because officials will be not worried to go in the court. But I think officials will feel that the game's maybe not standing up for them. The governing bodies are not showing them any concern.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. I like the strike system. I think that's a really good idea. I think even if that's an accident, that's definitely something should happen there to stop it from happening again.
Yep.
Strike system, 100%. That follows on from each match basically, so you're not just getting the punishment within the match. I think that's a good idea. Next thing I'd like to talk about on a positive. This happened last time, was it actually really weirdly? So in Acapulco, when Zverev smashed the umpire's chair, my next story was Jannik Sinner saving match points as positive drama. So Jannik Sinner coming out with the positive drama plays again. Yeah, it's really funny actually. Ultimate pressure player, absolutely love him. He's so good. This is a USP for me. He is so solid under pressure, better than anybody else at the moment, I would say, just given his track record. So in the first round, Emil Ruusuvuori, 3 match points saved. Second round, or whatever, third round in his case because he got a bye, against PCB, 5 match points saved.
Yep.
And I mean, PCB doesn't give you match points for free.
Yeah, I mean, I think especially during the PCB match, his level was nowhere near where it should be. You know what I mean? Like he was. I don't think he'll be annoyed with people for saying that he was really nowhere near his usual standard in that match. I think this is the problem with PCB though, and it was going through my mind when Batista Agut lost yesterday to Brooksby from being I think double break up in the final set. Players like them who are very, very solid but don't necessarily have a huge weapon on the serve, so they don't have a 120-mile-an-hour bomb that's going to get them consistent 3 points in the serve. I think it's always open because these guys they don't have the massive firepower on the forehand, so they're not going to be rushing their opponent in the back. It's very much going to be dependent on the rallies. I think in the case of Sinner had lost his timing in the same way that Brooksby had lost his timing yesterday, but they both, when they found their timing again, were able to put pressure back on their opponents and get the win. So I think that it sort of shows you if you don't have a major weapon but are very good from the back, it's still not all said and done. Even if you are a double break up against these players, because if they find their timing again, then the tables can easily turn.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting you say that because we had the polar opposite of that in the previous match. Ruusuvuori was also up a break. He does have a major weapon in his game, in his forehand.
Yeah, I think with Ruusuvuori it's more mental. You know what I mean?
Yeah, completely.
He's maybe not as experienced, but against Batista Agut and Pablo Carreño Busta, who are 2 seasoned campaigners, have won big titles, have won at the ATP 500 level, have reached Grand Slam semi-finals even. With them, I don't think it's mental. I think it was more the case of they just don't have the big weapon to slam the door, as easily.
Yeah, definitely. We saw both sides of Sinner being able to dig in and save match points. Whatever happens against Kyrgios tonight, he's ticked off another sort of objective in his book of just he's made himself more of a pressure player than he was before. He's such an impressive player. I'm really excited to see where he keeps going. Obviously, the limelight has completely been on Alcaraz recently. I think people are easily forgetting how good a player Sinner is, and he's going to take advantage. Definitely. One last thing I'd like to talk about in drama: Thanasi Kokkinakis' forehand pass down the line against Schwartzman. Just go watch it. It's amazing. Most insane match point save I think I've ever seen. It turned out to be crucial as they took the second set tie break and then won in the third. Yeah, very cool. And one more category. I'd like to talk about the ridiculous in Miami. Shot of the year contender. JJ Wolf hits a left-handed running forehand pass against Steph Tsitsipas. He said after the match, apparently, that he warms up left-handed, thanks to a habit formed after breaking his right wrist playing football years ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
it's coming up left-handed then.
Yeah. So it's not total just like fluke that he came up with that shot. It doesn't look like a fluke when he came up with that shot, to be fair, because he pretty much nails it.
Struck it perfectly, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, there you go. That's part of the reason why. Bublik and his handle smash shot.
I wasn't a big fan of that. I must admit.
Come on.
Nah.
It's just Bublik, isn't it?
It's Bublik, but there comes a point where you cross that line. For me, it's descending into a wee bit of a farce. But good to watch Bublik, but no, I wasn't particularly. I mean, you see the scoreline 3-2. Come on, I want him to try a wee bit better than that.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm team Bublik there. It's just good fun.
Miserable, grumpy tradition.
Yeah, fair it is. It's good fun. I enjoy it. And one with Kyrgios as well. Someone in the crowd screams underarm serve when Kyrgios is playing Fognini, and he obliges, misses the serve. I like that. Fognini said, "Don't do it again," jokingly across the net. Yeah, it's just a bit of fun again. The two of them, they're playing well. To be fair,
They were.
Yeah. Last, I've got this just plugged in at the end. It's not ridiculous. It's not anything. It's just because it's Marin, I guess. Alcaraz defeating Cilic yesterday.
The podcast favourite, Marin Cilic.
I just thought it's worth covering.
Yeah, look, I mean, before the match, I thought Alcaraz was the favourite, and I was worried for the Cilic forehand because he's going to obviously have to go for it more against Alcaraz, and when he has to really, really redline that forehand, it's either goes terrifically well, and there was some great forehands during the match that he hit, or there's some absolute horror shows, and there were some absolute horror shows as well. So there was some, I mean, there was some bad ones there. But overall, I think if you had to give him a score out of 10, he'd probably play in a solid 7, 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I felt that.
I think he could have done.
Definitely.
That's a pretty good match.
That's why I wanted to bring it up, because Cilic didn't play a terrible match. Just Alcaraz was unreal. Some of the lobs he was pulling out, man. Honestly,
mind those forehand misses. A lot of them are probably because he's trying to go for it 100%.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's not like his technique was bad or his attitude was bad. Where he just thought, "Fuck it, I need to go for it." I think he generally thought the only way for me to win this match is if I absolutely hit my forehand perfectly. And it did come off sometimes, but I think solid match from man. And if he can continue playing like that, no reason why he can't win a title with 250 or something.
Definitely, Robbie Koenig called the lobs daylight lobbery, by the way. I don't know if you heard that.
Yeah, I heard that. That's brilliant, Robbie Koenig, yeah.
This is good. I've got to say, honestly, big fan of that one. Final thing in the men's side before we move on to the women's, just quickly talking about Marbella, the challenger that's going on the other side of the world.
It's being held at the same place where they hold the ATP 250 event there, the Andalusia Open? I think it is, isn't it?
It could be. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah. Yes, I think it is actually, yeah.
Right, okay, yeah. So one of the toughest challenger draws I've ever seen personally. Top seed Dominic Thiem making his return. Stan currently losing to Elias Ymer, neither of which are seeded, by the way. It just gives you an idea. Cool. Is he a break up in the second? There we go. He could do well then.
Imagine Ymer thinking, challenger this week, I'm going to have a tough opponent, and he sees the Stan Wawrinka first match.
I know, it's ridiculous, isn't it? It's crazy. Jean Minard seeded 6 as well. I mean,
last year's winner of it, wasn't he? Yeah, he made the final of the ATP 250 or the week after.
Yeah.
ECB.
Crazy stuff. Good luck to everybody there. Obviously, Thiem, I think I'm giving my most luck to. I hope he does really well.
I'm a Stan the man guy all the way.
Either of them could do well. I don't mind. I just expect Thiem to do better than Stan at the moment, but we'll see.
Probably true, actually. Yeah, but good luck to all. Good luck to all.
Definitely. Let's move on to the women's side of the tournament. Mm-hmm. I think first thing outside of the tournament, I guess, is Ash Barty's retirement.
Yes, came as a big shock to me. Does it come as a big shock to you?
Yeah, of course.
Yes, yeah.
I was pretty upset at first. I got to say, I'm really keen to see more of Ash Barty and how she paired up against different players and stuff.
Yeah.
But sort of seeing her talk about it is fair enough.
I just wanted to see her go for the career slam. That was really,
so did I. But it wasn't in her checklist. She's done what she needed to do. Wimbledon was for her. I feel like Australia wasn't even a goal she necessarily had. It was more for everybody else. She felt like that was what was expected of her, sort of thing. And then when she got that out of the way,
we're probably being biased, but Wimbledon is the crown jewel.
Yeah, no, it's not biased. It's not biased at all, really.
between British tennis fans.
I know. I don't really feel a home affinity to it, I've got to say. I just, maybe a wee bit, but I suppose I've been a few times. Still.
I thought you'd be like...
Yeah, that's true.
I thought that'd be like
that's true.
I thought you'd be requesting to buy the land to it and whatever.
That's true. That's true. No, I don't at all. I get why Wimbledon was on our list of priorities above everything else, basically. But I still think, she didn't feel... If she doesn't feel inspired to do it, then it makes sense that she'd walk away from the sport. That's very Ash Barty. So
yeah,
very inspiring to see her walk away from that. I've got to say, it was very impressive and probably quite brave of her to do. So, have you got a small quiz for us, Gav?
I do have a small quiz, but good quiz. Hopefully it passes the podcast approval for quizzes. The bar has been set quite high. But
okay, it could be tough for me. I've got to say.
Okay, are you ready just to fire in?
Yeah, just dive in.
Okay,
Go for it.
Question one. Is it an easy starter? I don't know. How many singles titles did Ash Barty win in her career?
Ooh, that's hard. I'm going to say I might be close, but I don't think I'll get it right. I think she could be around 14.
I'm going all Chris Tarrant here. Final answer.
I'll go final answer. Yeah, I don't think it's right, but it could be 15.
It's wrong on 15. 15.
Yeah, I actually felt 15, yeah.
very, very close. If we did this podcast before the Australian Open, you would have been bang on. But
give me half a mark for plus or minus one.
Okay, well.
Yeah, I'll take that.
Okay, so that's question one out of the way. Right, question two. Ash Barty has made 6 Grand Slam doubles finals. So, first of all, how many has she won?
1.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Right, for a bonus point, she made 4 of those finals with the same partner.
Mm-hmm.
Who was the player?
Was it her? Was it Casey Delacroix?
Good pronunciation. Yeah, it was Casey.
Okay,
Delacroix.
cool.
I thought Delacroix, but you've exceeded the pronunciation there. Wow, that is.
We'll take it.
Right, question 3.
Mm-hmm.
Barty won a bronze medal at the Summer Olympics in Tokyo last year. Who was her partner?
I totally forgot that. I think it was Storm Sanders.
Incorrect. It was John Peters.
Oh, it was mixed.
And
Flipping mixed.
This isn't part of the quiz, but who did they? Well, who did they beat in the final, or who were they meant to play in the final? Might be a better clue.
Oh yeah. Yeah. They were meant to play Djokovic and. Who was he with? Is it Stojanovic?
Stojanovic, correct.
Is it? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. Well, that's...
I pulled that out.
You pulled that out the bag. Okay,
Yeah.
so question 4 of 5.
Mm-hmm.
Barty won the WTA finals once in her career. What was the year, first of all, and what was the score in the final? So the opponent was Elina Svitolina. I'll get that out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
But which year did she win it, and what was the score in the final?
Was it 2019?
It was 2019.
Was the score? I don't remember this. I'm gonna have to guess here. I think 3-4. 4-3. 4-3.
Yeah, no.
Is it 4-3?
It was 3-4.
It was 3-4.
It was 3-4. Yeah.
Oh, I'll take that. That's first answer. That's the rules of. That's what Chris Tarrant would give me.
Double bluff you there. But, final question is: what was her final WTA 1000 title that she won in her career?
Oh, I know that. That was it was Cincinnati.
It was correct.
Yeah.
That was a quick quiz. I thought I'd get you with the Casey Delacroix question, but you just pulled out.
Yeah, I was quite sure about that.
Out the bag as well. Not in that name.
Delacroix, whichever it is.
You've made the pass, Mark. You can come back on next week.
Yes, here we go. I'm sad to see her go. That's obviously that's part of words in that. Yeah.
Dreadful. And she was like the one player in the modern game who were like dominating, wasn't she? Like whenever she played, you thought she'd win, and that's just like totally at odds with how the women's game's going at the moment.
I know. Went away on a high, basically the peak of her career. But as we say, it's very Ash Barty.
He
So
did a
best of
board.
luck to whatever
He
she
retired
does.
at the peak. Did a
Yeah,
be on board, but
I know. Yeah.
might come back. Never know.
She could. I think maybe a few years away just to get reacquainted with family and stuff like that. I think that's just what she's missing in her life when she kind of gets that out of her system. Maybe, I don't know, but
Yeah,
best of luck to her, whatever she does. Obviously,
absolutely.
very likable player. So fingers crossed. Right, moving on to what's happened in Miami. A few of the upsets first. I have covered a little bit of this in a blog article I've written, so I will very quickly go over a couple of them. The first one, for example, Sabalenka and Begu, I have covered, the top seed going out. Not much of an upset nowadays with Sabalenka about 20 in the race to the WTA finals. Don't know what it is yet.
Yeah, very up and down.
Not number 5 in the world anyway, definitely. The one thing I wanted to mention basically was she's been very up and down on serve, and everybody's aware of that. The double faults rife in her game. However, against Begu, she didn't break serve once, and that is also becoming an issue in that, she can maybe get away with not serving brilliantly if she was able to return fantastically, consistently, but she just, there was nowhere to be found against Begu. She wasn't getting that angle shot. It was all muscle. I don't know if you've watched Sabalenka loads, Gav, but she does kind of just hit through the court rather than round her player.
Yeah, not much feel.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And, we see variation in her game sometimes when she's playing very well, but she only does it as she doesn't even need to have variation in her game when she's playing her best.
Yeah.
So it's just about having those shots that sort of cut the court, and then you can
have the confidence to play them more often. I think.
That's
my main takeaway from it.
Yeah, but I mean, it's if she can get those returns, sort of cutting the court and cutting the sidelines before the baseline, she pulls her opponent off court, and then she can muscle it into the space. But she was just muscling every ball, missing eventually. It was quite ugly tennis, I've got to say. And obviously Sabalenka's quite prone to that a lot of the time, but it really was poor, I've got to say. She's going to have a long, hard look at what she's going to do in the season to come, especially with the clay season coming up. Obviously, she was brilliant in Madrid last year, but that plays a lot more like a hard court than a clay court.
That's going to be, interesting to see what happens there.
Definitely. And a shout out to Begu, who played a left-handed shot, just like Gigi Wolf.
Yeah.
But
I mean, left-handed shot.
I know, yeah. Well, it was nowhere near as good because it was a defensive one. But
Rafa not being there, it's like a tribute show from the ATP and WTA.
Yeah. Totally true. Yeah, paying tribute to the old legend, indeed.
Or maybe they're both just Cam Norrie fans. You don't know. Maybe they're just going to rep. Beforehand. That's really what it is, probably. But
it would be that, probably. Yeah. A bit on Anne Lee versus Kontaveit. Kontaveit obviously kind of beats herself a lot of the time when she does lose, especially if she gets bageled in the first set. That's not all Anne Lee, certainly. But just interesting to see, Anne Lee definitely deserved the match overall. She's only 21 years old. We've got to remember, already an established member of the top 100. Interesting to see what kind of weapons she can use in the future to get ahead in the game. She's got a really good serve for somebody who's 5'7". She's got that crazy, sort of knee bend the same way Federer does. It looks quite a lot like Federer's serve, actually.
Yep.
And she's very good at placing it. Like Barty, who's sort of ushered in this new breed of player, she was really good at placing the serve, and it made all the difference against her.
Oh, Federer really
yeah, exactly. Yeah, a lot of Federer similarities.
Federer's then you've got a good serve, put it that way.
Yeah, 100%. And she was quite good in the forecourt as well. Again, like Federer, obviously, not as comfortable coming forward without as much power from her own shots. But when she did come forward, she did really well. It's surprising for somebody who was like 600 ranked in the doubles rankings or something like that. There's a bit more on that on the blog. I think maybe just read that there. But yeah, just interesting to see that Kontaveit didn't totally beat herself, and that Anne Lee is a bit more dangerous than you might expect. Another one, Gav, I'm sure you'll have a bit to talk about here. Senekova defeating Radicanu.
Yes, very similar to the way that Radicanu lost in Indian Wells, wasn't it? I mean, the way that she was serving for it, and then just the final 10 minutes, she was just not good at all, was she? Really in the
No.
That's probably the I want to sort of lay into her because I don't think it's really warranted. I mean, it's not as if she totally just down tools, but to me, it just seemed like the tactic. I think she had the easy ball down the line, the forehand down the line that she should have gone for. I think Anne Crossman was talking about it. Then she hits back cross court, into Senyakova's sort of allowing Senekova rather to get back into the point. So it was sort of like, for me, she just didn't put the ball away. Maybe she was being a bit nervous, the fact that she's been in that situation in Indian Wells and not really taking advantage. But I'm not
Yeah.
overly concerned yet. I mean, it's not as if she's getting walloped off the court week in, week out, 11-2. I think she's losing tight
Exactly.
matches, but that's the way the WTA tour has been for every player in the tour. I think
Yeah.
people are getting. I think was it Daniela Antikova that made that ludicrous criticism of her?
She backed herself up. To be fair, I think the full interview was a lot less scathing than people made
I
it
don't
look.
know. I think it's just been a wee bit. Just be patient. It's going to take time. Getting
Definitely.
used to that adjustment as well, of winning a slam and having more pressure on you. I think sort of I just what I expected. A couple of tight defeats and everyone saying it's a disaster. I think people just need to calm down a wee bit.
She's mixing with the top 100 at 18 years old.
Yeah.
Obviously, she has set the
And
bar with that US Open win. But
even if she's not getting over the line, she's not getting thrashed like 11-2 week in week out.
yeah,
It's a tight reset match. Not
yeah,
like
exactly.
getting totally outplayed.
Senekova, I mean, she's also not one that's shies away from an upset. Like she beat Naomi Osaka at the French in 2019, Serena Williams last year in Parma, Caroline Garcia at number 4.
Former number 1 doubles player in the world as well. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Obviously has the game and the to deal with pressure and stuff like that. So definitely, not a bad loss at all. I think let's just leave it alone. Again, as always, this is just going to become a running theme now. Obviously, leave Emma alone.
What season it'll be worse? It will be like we'll be saying it's a disaster. And we'll get all the armchair experts out saying who should coach her and whatnot.
I know. Yeah. She'll be okay, I'm sure.
Be all right.
One last one I'd like to talk about: Haddad Maya defeating Zachary. I don't know if you saw that, but
that's one match I didn't get to see, but great win for her.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, there was 2 lopsided sets, 1 and 2, and a 6-4 set in between that Zachary won. There are times where Zachary has looked a little lackluster on return in her career. Maybe the one aspect of her game that could do with quite a significant improvement against Haddad Maya, not the biggest server in the game, only won 30% of her return points. Maybe there's a lot of fatigue there. I would definitely say that. I expected her to be fine as the sort of physical specimen of the WTA Tour, I guess, but maybe not the case. It's quite hard to tell at the time if players are fatigued. Certainly, she wasn't hitting the ball quite as hard as she can.
She was in the final of Indian Wells, and I guess that's why maybe the Sunshine Double's so hard to sort of achieve, because not just the physical toll, but the mental toll as well. I mean, of getting to these big matches and having to do it the following week. I mean, that's tough in itself. And obviously, Zachary had a disappointment in that final, but she still got to that final in Indian Wells. That would have taken a lot of energy out of her, both physically and mentally. And then you've got to go straight to Miami. And it is difficult. I mean, let's not. I know these players are professionals, but even then, it's the highest level of sport you can play. It's going to take something out of you. So maybe not too unexpected, but still, still a bit of a surprise, obviously.
Definitely, yeah. Unfortunately, Zachary and Halep, now the tournament, they were my favourites to win. Halep withdrew at least, with a thigh injury, and Zachary also. Swiatek, of course, I should have backed her. She's knackered, but she's just playing perfect tennis at the moment. So we're not going to get too much into Swiatek. There'll be plenty of opportunity to talk about Swiatek as the week progresses, I am sure. So I would like to instead look towards a 16-year-old in the draw, Linda Fruhvirtova, who has kind of announced herself to the scene. Obviously, we had Brenda announcing herself with the 2 ITF titles a few months ago at 14 years old. Linda now announcing herself to the tour at Miami, has now won 3 matches in a row. She beat Elise Mertens in the second round, though, and she beat Vika Azarenka in the third round with a very odd finish to the match.
It was very club tennis, that. Very,
very. It was, it totally was. And I think that's quite a good way to put it, Gav.
League stuff.
I know, It's basically what happened. 6-2, 3-love up. Azarenka just walked off the court without saying a word. She did say after the match, a lot going on in her personal life. Maybe we can give her the benefit of the doubt with what's going on in Belarus, obviously, at the moment. At the same time, very, very unprofessional. Yeah. And I to do that to a 16-year-old as well, who's just announced herself to probably biggest match of her career.
She saw the writing on the wall and didn't want to lose a completed match to a 16-year-old. I think that's what it sort of came across to me, really. It might sound a bit harsh, but even if you've got difficult personal life, if you lose, it's going to be 15 minutes more in the court at most.
Exactly. Svitolina completed her match against Heather Watson. 3rd set tiebreak. Obviously incredibly difficult to finish that match with everything that's going on for her. she said that herself, but she still got the match finished. I think it's very poor. Definitely, obviously easy for us to say, and I'm sure there's a lot going on, but still, I definitely am not impressed by that, and I think to take that away from Linda, probably her biggest match of her career for sure, was a bit backstabby, definitely. A bit of the differences between her game even and her sisters. Obviously, already I've seen a few articles that have used photos of Brenda Fruhvirtova instead of Linda Fruhvirtova. I mean, it's such early days and they're still already getting that wrong. Anyway, there are differences between the two players. Obviously, Linda Fruhvirtova quite a bit older, so the forehand is definitely miles better than her sisters at the moment. Both have the backhand power in the same vein as one another, able to rifle it down the line really easily. Two other defining characteristics, though, that make her stick out from the crowd: able to take on the return very early, kind of Schwante-esque, stepping right into the court at second serve, taking the time away from her opponents as much as possible. Really good at taking on the ball early, basically. And the disguise on her slices and drop shots, kind of like Jenson Brooksby. Keeps both her hands on the racket. It worked really well to keep herself in some of the points and add a bit of flair when she was when Azarenka was getting a bit comfortable from the back of the court. So, kind of cool. Anyway, keep an eye out for her. Obviously, doing stuff already. Not many players as accomplished at 16 years old, so we'll be interested to see what happens. She has already lost to Badosa 2-3, but obviously, massive breakthrough for her. So it'll be interesting to see what happens from here. Final thing. I was just going to talk about or mention a few of the matches to watch tonight. Maybe we could do quick picks for them, Gav, before we finish, if you like.
All right.
So quarterfinals are set for the ladies. We've got Bencic-Saville.
Bench.
Yeah. Osaka-Collins.
Osaka.
Yeah, that's a tough one. That's obviously you got to back Osaka.
Osaka.
You got to back Osaka, but that's not going to be as easy as it sounds.
Oh, no,
it doesn't sound easy, sorry, but you know what I mean. It's not going to be easy. Definitely. Mm-hmm. Collins playing amazing tennis on a hard court. So 3 sets, Osaka?
Yes, 6-4 in the third.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, good shout, Gav. Jessica Pegula, Paula Badosa?
I'm going Badosa.
Yeah. My opinion on Pegula is she beats everybody that was ranked below her and she beats everybody, or she loses to everybody that's ranked above her. So I'm going to go Badosa. She's a very middle of the road player, and the stats show that. I'm just saying statistically she is not a slight on her. Just that's the case. So yeah, I'm going to go Badosa as well, and then Swiatek beating Kvitova.
Yeah,
but who knows? It's not. Kvitova makes things tricky on our best days, but yeah, it's got to be Swiatek. And the guys, obviously round of 16, so I'll go through these very quickly. Medvedev, Brooksby. That's going to be fun.
Medvedev, I think.
That is going to be fun though, and I think is definitely necessary. Harris, Hurkacz. Yeah. Tsitsipas, Alcaraz. Yeah, Alcaraz, I agree. It's got to be Alcaraz, and that's going to be a fun one too. Fritz, Kecmanovic. I'm going to go Kecmanovic there, I think. He was a bit tired against Tommy Paul.
Yeah, but he still played incredibly well, especially under pressure in that first set. So
I'll go for Kecmanovic. Kyrgios, Sinner.
Kyrgios. Sinner's not been playing anywhere near his best. I still think there's maybe some issue with the injury, maybe as well. Maybe he's not fully physically there. I'm going Kyrgios.
Yeah, maybe. I'll go Kyrgios.
Yeah.
Cerundolo, Tiafoe. I think Cerundolo's. I'm not saying lucky, but he's definitely. He was. Yeah, fine. Just I'll stick to Tiafoe there. I won't say too much more. Ruud, Norrie.
I'm going to go with Casper.
Okay. Yeah. I think I'll say the same. And Kokkinakis, Zverev. I'm going to back the upset. And Kokkinakis never gets an easy match in his life, so it's going to be a third set tiebreak, but Kokkinakis steals it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I still think Zverev's a bit distracted. Obviously, probably not going to work out like that, but still. Okay, yeah, I think we could stop there, Gav. Thank you very much for joining us, guys. We will be here again next week for the finals. Please join us then. Thanks for listening this far through. If you want to catch any of my work, you can go to jackedward.substack.com or onlinetennis.uk. If you want to catch any of Gav's work, you can go to the last word
on sports. Yeah.
Thank you very much for listening, guys. We'll catch you next time on the Online Tennis Podcast. Cheers. Bye.
Thank you.